confidence. I can't not do a French accent now whenever I say confidence.
Confidence.
I'm really proud of myself for coming up with that name.
It was great. Really impressive.
Thanks. This is my boyfriend, Jared, a.k.a. Capslap, a.k.a. La DJ, a.k.a. love of my freaking life. How do you feel about the podcast?
It's fantastic, honestly. You guys, you're not you guys. I mean, you are doing an amazing job with this.
Me and my other personalities.
Yeah, exactly.
Me and my Gemini risings and moons are doing an amazing job.
No, it's a great variety of different people and
do you listen to all of them?
I have not yet, unfortunately. I know.
Which one haven't you listened to and why?
I think like the last 2 or 3.
Well, you were busy. You were at a meditation retreat.
True.
Yeah. But that's not why we're here today to talk. We're here today to talk about our relation.
The relation.
And it being an open one.
True.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting conversation. I had asked you guys on Instagram to give us some questions about being in an open relationship. And boy, did you guys come through. And you know that I'm not ashamed to answer anything. I'm not afraid. I'm not embarrassed. I'm a little too open, no pun intended, about my sex life. And I think something I learned about being with you is that, like, there's another person involved who, like, has opinions and reputations and, like, you're working in the tech world, you know, when you're not DJing in like a very respectable company. And I have to be like careful that I'm not talking about like butt plugs. And when you Google your name, how did you feel about meeting someone like me? Like, did you think I was a little bit different than most people you've dated when we first met?
It was actually incredible because when I met you, I could just sense the openness. Like it wasn't, there was no, I mean, it just was so easy to talk to you, and I knew that you weren't like hiding anything. And then I just checked out your stuff after we, met and stuff.
Yeah,
and
because you had never seen any.
I had never seen.
I didn't
anything
know who
from
you were, and you didn't know who I was.
Yeah, can I take my teeth out?
Oh, yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ, you guys.
There we go.
Okay.
Sorry, guys.
Also, my cat's walking in and out of frame. Don't be distracted, even though we might be. Do you remember finding out I was bi? Or do you remember, like, did I tell you? Or how did that work?
Honestly, no recollection on that one. I think it just kind of came up in conversation.
Yeah.
I'm not really like positive it was a specific, by the way, I'm queer.
By the way.
But no, it just seemed pretty natural, and I was very much go with the punches. Like, that's really cool. Like, yeah,
and I feel like, a big reason why I wanted to do this podcast with you is because I feel like you come from a very like straight heteronormative life. Like, we're in a fraternity, like, very religious, born and raised. Like, your strides that I have seen you like be able to take and it's not like because of me, it's because of you and like your openness and decency as a person. But I think it really does just go to show that if you're raised in a certain environment, you might be a certain way. But when you're able to be an adult and think for yourself, like, you have been so open to the queer community and like such an ally and so supportive and non-judgmental. And I feel like that's why I kind of want to do this episode, to just show you guys that there like is hope for straight white guys. Like, I feel like I got so lucky, but at the same time, I'm like, I would never be with anyone else that didn't understand my identity. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's really easy to... It was such an easy thing for me to understand when I started like dating you, because I felt like I was pretty open regardless of like before that of different people.
Yeah.
And then actually being immersed in that community via you was like, oh my gosh, like this is fantastic.
We've been missing out on a party.
Like I cognitively knew that like, blah, 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 everybody's equal, this and that. Yeah. But actually being engulfed and immersed in the community was really, it was amazing.
Because my 2 closest male guy friends are gay. And I've always gravitated, like, for some reason, me and gay men just have the same vibe. I don't know if it's just because I'm so, quote unquote, traditionally masculine, but like, had you really ever in the space you worked at you're a DJ at a club, you weren't really surrounded by a ton of LGBTQIA folk. Huh?
Definitely not. I mean, traveling all over the place, you meet a lot of really cool people, but you don't actually get to know them. You don't actually get to, it's all very surface level. And back when I was drinking, you would get wasted and talk to like one person about like your life story and then just forget about them and never see them again.
Yeah.
So like now it's still really great to go and meet a lot of people and get some basic information about them, but you never really get too deep when you're just with a person for 3 hours or whatever.
Yeah. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here.
Oh boy.
Can you name all
Don't do that.
the letters of
LGBTQIA. Oh no, there's more. Uh-oh.
No, that's it. Can you name what they stand for?
Yes. Lesbian, gay, bi, trans, what is it? Q, queer. Oh, this is interesting. I, intersex.
Wow, yeah.
And, oh man, this A is a tricky one here. Give me a second. Something about all maybe, or no? Anonymous.
Oh, it's asexual.
Asexual. Oh, I knew that.
But the fact that you got through so many, and I feel like because it changed, in the changed. It became more PC to say LGBTQIA or LGBT plus. I feel like I'll give you.
Oh,
I'll give you
LGBT
that.
plus.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
It's like Disney Plus, but gay people. Now let me ask about being in an open relation.
Yep.
How did you feel about, like, our story's so unique because we were friends with benefits to begin with. And so we were both sleeping with other people when we first met. And I don't know if that was like an easy into the world of, non-monogamy, but do you remember specifically, like, did we ever have a specific conversation where I was like, monogamy's not for me? Or like, do you remember how this transformed?
I feel like the basics of everything, like the broad sketch of who we are as people came out in the first like 1 or 2 dates.
Yeah.
And it was all like, yeah, cool, me too. Oh my God, that's crazy.
So
wow.
much relatable.
La la la. So relatable. But it never really sunk in until, the really understanding like, oh wow, like you actually, like we can go and hook up with a person together. Like that's really interesting.
Yeah, I feel like me being bi was like a soft entry because it was like I am attracted to women and I saw how easy it was for you to get women when you were performing, and I was like, wait, this is the best of both worlds for me. Like people are always like, oh my God, how do you manage, like how do you handle that? And I'm like, don't you get jealous? And I'm like, I also like women. Now that doesn't say I don't get jealous, but I feel like in the beginning there was, before we were a fish, let's say, there were definitely some texting conversations we had about like sexy time. We were sexting. I don't know how else to put it. We were like sexting about what we would want to do.
Yeah.
And it was always like group activities. And I feel like whenever we would hang out and ask each other like the very deep questions of life as one does when you're first starting a relationship with someone else, like I feel like one of the things we asked was like, what was your favorite type of porn to watch? Jared's like, please shut up.
No.
But I feel like we had similar categories.
Oh yeah.
And I was kind of getting your vibe of, okay, is this someone that could understand?
Right.
And I don't know, it felt different with you than most like hetero dudes where when I told you I was bi, you weren't like fucking sweet, like double pussy all the time. Like, oh, like you weren't like gross about it.
Yeah.
You weren't forcing the idea of a threesome. You were just kind of like, if that's what you want. It
was really hard to wrap my head in the first, beginning of finding out about this stuff, wrap my head around the fact that you genuinely enjoyed the idea of me fucking somebody else while we're dating. And it's just like, that goes against everything that I know or knew. And at first it was like, okay, it must be some kind of cover. Like maybe she's doing this so that she
I seem cool, like the cool chick.
like, oh yeah, like this guy's a DJ, so I might as well, I'll pretend that it's cool so that I can keep. And it was just like really mind blowing, really knowing that you were cool with that. It was like, wow.
And I feel like too, it's gradual. Like it's not like you lay all your cards out on the table, but something from the very fucking beginning, like day one that we met, I always said the number one important thing to me is what?
Communication, honesty.
Yep. I said, if you lie to me, that's it. We're fucking done. And this is a product of my past. I've seen what it is to try and make, open relationships or non-monogamous relationships work. And if you are both not 1,000% honest with your boundaries and your comfortability and how something makes you feel, even if it's just in the moment, like even if I know I'm being or feeling something irrational, but I just need to get it off my chest and I need him to know how I'm feeling, I'll say it because I'd rather squash it than let that shit drift. And I feel like there was definitely a little bit of a learning curve just because when you first meet someone, you're not like, here's all my trauma, but like you definitely have to, like, communication is a skill that you have to learn.
Oh my God,
But is it not the most refreshing fucking thing?
I had to reframe it in my head because before it was like, oh yeah, be honest, and you don't need to tell her everything about this because it's like you're not lying. It's just
you're omitting.
You're omitting something. But I'll give you an analogy real quick. She doesn't really like too much when I do these analogies, but
you just go wild.
I love them. I love them. I'll give you a real simple one. So if you have a normal car, you can put normal gasoline in it, right, and it just runs fine. If you have a jet, you don't put normal gasoline in it. You put the highest quality.
Am I a fucking
proper?
jet?
You're goddamn right. You're a jet.
Oh my God.
fastest jet alive. You get you have to put jet fuel in. You have to do it. And if you put like regular gasoline into a jet, it's going to explode. Like it's going to break.
Hot. Yeah.
So
you had to put jet fuel into your jet, which was over communication.
Yes.
Yeah. You had to learn to
really
over communicate
properly. And it was also another reframing in my head of like, all right, this life from my perspective, right? Like if I'm lying to someone else, I'm lying to myself. It just comes back to me.
And you spent a lot of your life lying.
Yeah. Oh my God. Right.
Like, not to put you on blast, but like maybe for a second, like you kind of were a shitty fucking boyfriend to people.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't, but that's the thing. It wasn't lying. It was omitting truth and not going into detail about specific things because, it would have, it's, more harm. Yeah, it's more harm done than, but it's like the same thing as getting a cut and not cleaning it out and then it's going to get infected, right? It's like this will heal by itself and it's like not really.
You still got the infection underneath. Like I also have to say that this type of relationship would not have worked with anybody else. Like this isn't a plug and play scenario where I could trade you out for another dude and it would work this way.
You got to do a lot of work on that dude to get there.
Yeah. And like 5 years ago, if you would have told me I would have been in an open relationship, I would have slapped you across the face and be like, you're fucking crazy. Because I was the most jealous person and insecure. And I'm not saying if you're insecure, you can't be in an open relationship, or if you're not, you have to be like the most confident person, because that's not true either. Like I definitely have my days where I'm like, oh my God, I'm ugly, like, but like this is something it just happened to be like the perfect match where this worked out, and it would not have worked out in past relationships. It would not have worked out with past people because we both we made this together.
Right.
It wasn't like one person wanted something different and the other person had to learn how to compromise. I mean, a little bit, we'll get to that part, but like I don't think this would have worked with you with any of your other girlfriends either.
Yeah.
Because we both just weren't either in like a mature enough place.
I was way too young. I mean, it was my whole history as a kid growing up to college to sex was like conquering. Sex was a feat. Sex was like, I'm going to get numbers so that my bro friends
Right,
think
like,
I'm cool.
you weren't even fucking for you. You were
No.
fucking for other guys, which
All
is
of
arguably the gayest thing you could do. Like, I know you're pretty straight. I mean, we'll talk about that too. But like, that is so gay to impress other guys.
Yeah, but and it's so funny because this culture is so much about that, whether it be the frat culture or the bro culture.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, who you hooking up with? Like, oh, did you hook up with him? Like, fuck yeah, dope.
You just
like,
said, did you hook up with him?
Oh shit.
I'm not
damn,
saying
maybe that's a
that by
Freudian
the
slip
end
there,
of
huh?
this episode, I'm gonna get you to admit you like guys, but I'm just saying I'm
Nice.
keeping score.
Nice.
No, but I think that's something really important to talk about too, because when we met, I mean, anyone that listened to Adult Shit knew that we definitely had like a little bit of a bumpy road in the beginning from transitioning from
A little bit, yeah.
just a little bit, transitioning from friends with benefits to, I wouldn't even say it was like monogamy. It wasn't like, you're my boyfriend, I'm your girlfriend, therefore these are rules now. It was more like we went through like some of the hardest stuff
Yeah.
that a couple, quote unquote, we weren't really a couple yet, could go through before we even had a title of like a relationship.
Yeah.
And I think that helped. Like, I think we had to go through those bumpy moments of you like fucking other people and, you know, lying about protection, and, you know, anyone that listened to Adult Shit knows that that's what it was. And like, we had to go through that for me to go like, this is not okay, bye. And then you to go, oh wait, I think I just fucked something up really easy.
Right.
You know, like for me, it was like, how could you fuck this up? I'm giving you the chance to do whatever you want.
Yeah. And again, that's like, I wish I could say that I would have done it differently, but I don't think I would have, because specifically of my history of things, and like the automatic reaction I had for things, and the whole like, oh, I'm in control of this. Like, this is completely fine. Like, they would never, it's like not a big deal. They would
Letting
never know.
someone else into your
But
life
when
was
you,
a hard.
yeah, like when you, I've been thinking about this, and like when you have like a little white lie, it affects the way you act in a way that isn't tangible. It's something that you can tell other people. You can tell that something they're not telling the other person, because they'll get angry at the other person, or they'll react in a way and gaslight, because it's like, they're projecting, they're projecting the shit that is in them and the things that they've done on another person, so that they aren't vulnerable.
The bad guy.
Yeah.
And golly, is like, this is the first relationship I've ever been on where I could give you my phone and password.
It feels really good.
And my stomach doesn't fall out of my butt. Like, even with other guys, even if I wasn't doing anything, even if I wasn't guilty of anything, I was worried that they would misinterpret something, or like see a text from a guy friend who's like a production friend and be like, why are they texting you at 8 p.m. at night? And I'd be like, because we have work tomorrow. And like, you know, this relationship has never had that trust issue with the person of the opposite sex, I should say, or identifies as the opposite sex. Like, you have never been like, who's this fucking guy and why? Right. You've never been like threatened. Yeah. And I think that really just comes with, like I said, I think communication, number one. Yeah. And then like confidence kind of comes in at like 3 or 4. Like, I feel like there's so many other things that are important to have between the two of you besides the other person being stable, because I still kind of sometimes like, you know, freak out a little bit, and I'm like, oh my God, did I just fuck up this relationship by allowing something to happen? Like, am I really comfortable with that? Like, oh my God, like I definitely still question it, but I know at the end of the day, our baseline is that we have chosen each other. Yep. And I don't have that fear of you running off with a hookup. Yeah. Like, at the end of the day, we are so solid. Yeah. And I don't think I would feel that way if you didn't tell me every day.
Exactly. And I think what I noticed and what I realized is that even if it is something really tough or really shitty that I'm so like ashamed that I did, or ashamed that happened, that it's just like, I'm going to put that underneath and never, you know, whatever. Like, just bringing that out is so worth it, because it might be a day or two of furious, like you were like really mad or like, fuck you, I don't want to talk to you, or this or that. But like,
I've never gone 2 days not talking. I've maybe gone to like 20 minutes being like, this is why I'm frustrated.
yeah, and it's really impressive actually how quickly you're able to get it out and then go back to being quote unquote normal.
Yeah.
Of like because you're able to process it really quickly.
Yeah, I'm so emotionally aware.
Yeah.
Like I'll be able to, like for example, let's bring up an example. Is one night you were on tour and you met a girl, and we'll go through kind of the process of how that works. Like when we meet someone. Long story short, you let her sleep in your bed with you, and that's like a pretty hard rule for me.
Yeah.
If I'm not there, I really don't want like the after like sex cuddling, like the stuff we do. Like I'm not to a point yet, especially like if we're dating the person and I know them and I know that they're like a cool chick.
Yeah.
Fine. Totally cool with you like cuddling in bed and talking about the universe and the stars and the things you do with people when you first meet.
Right.
But if this was just like a random and it just made me feel uncomfortable, and you know that that's a hard rule for me of like, they gotta go.
Yeah.
And you let her stay in bed, and the next morning you told me that without me really looking at the details of the situation. Right. And the details of the situation were you guys didn't even really, you hooked up but not really. Yeah. And she was really intoxicated. Right. And you were like, okay, this feels weird. She's wasty-facedy. She drove to the club, so I obviously am not going to let her drive home. Right. And she's just going to, I just need her to know she's okay. Right. And she's going to sleep in the bed. And my brain is going, you could have called her an Uber. You could have slept on the couch. You could have fucking called me and told me. Meanwhile, it's like 3 a.m. and I'm past asleep for like 5 hours. Yeah. But my brain like jumped to like why I felt so uncomfortable with that, rather than going, let's look at the facts. You have a really good guy who respects women, who wanted to make sure she was safe, who wanted to make sure she wasn't vomiting or driving and, you know, getting a DUI. He was taking care of her and not like fucking up, like slipping up. Yeah. And for me, it was like, I had to let that couple hours of being frustrated that you broke our one sacred rule go through my bones. Yeah. And then I had to reevaluate the situation and say, what are the facts here? And are you just angry because you feel like you don't have control? And I think that that's something you also have to be really aware of in an open relationship, is like it forces you to really look inward and figure out why you feel a way about something. And if you don't have that connection with your heart and soul, I don't think you'll be able to do it. Yeah. Like if you can't go, why do I feel insecure or threatened in this moment? What is it really? Right. Is it that I'm afraid he's going to leave me? Is it just the fact that the principle of the matter? Because that's what that was that night. And I think you just have to have like a fierce moral inventory all the time of like what you feel about a scenario. And if you're not there, then, you know, I don't think it's going to work. Yeah. You want to do some questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Also, I started drinking coffee for the first time in my adult life.
Yeah, that's wild.
This week, and now I think I have a severe addiction and problem with iced coffee. Okay, so Mahern asks, will you still define your relationship as open after you guys get married?
I would assume so.
First of all, are we ever getting married?
I mean, isn't there supposed to be like a surprise involved? Isn't this supposed to be like a part of the... You're going to be my life partner.
It should just be a surprise. You should talk about it with your partner. No, I think like we both have views on marriage, and I never ever wanted to get married. And then I met you and I was like, oh, you want to get married? Like maybe I could get married. And then I got the idea in my head of us getting married. And now I feel like I'm the one who's always talking about it. Yeah. That's your fault. I was chill with just not getting married. And now I'm like, ooh, wouldn't it be fun to like get a house and like have a life together? Yeah. But we've already decided we're going to be life partners. Yeah. So I think the answer to that question is yes. Yeah. Because what does that change?
I mean, it's tax benefits, and it's a ring, label. And it's also like it changes the way other people look at you as well, which is a big one. I think to the positive. So they're like, oh, this person is respectable. This person can keep somebody.
They're fucking married. Ew. That's so gross.
Yeah.
Like, you don't think if you became like a billionaire from your tech startup and we would have to go to events and stuff, and you didn't just call me like your partner, people wouldn't respect you. They would think of you less because you're not getting married.
I mean, I don't know about that, but I know, like, at least for me, right? Like, if I see somebody who does have a ring on their finger, I know that they can make a promise that they can keep it, or at least theoretically.
50% of people get divorced.
That's true.
It's almost like I respect you less because I'm like, you crazy.
Yeah.
You really took a fucking chance, you
Yeah.
maniac.
Yeah.
I don't know. Interesting that
Yeah.
you think that.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's like a stage in life where you like you graduate to something.
Ew.
No?
The idea though that's like what defines success for you as an adult.
Yeah, I guess it's not like,
Because how hard is marriage and how much does that try you and 50% of the time not work out, and then you're seen as what, damaged goods, like you failed that graduation, like you don't get the diploma because you can't. The idea that success and happiness equals a ring to me is so bonkers.
Yeah.
To me it's almost like if you can make it through life alone you should get an award.
That's true. I mean, I don't know. I think it's something that's a little old-fashioned, but super old-fashioned. But I still think that that's there in terms of a classical, like if you're like for most people, you would look at that and say like, okay, like at least this person is making an effort to, they at least have their other half.
I would 1,000% rather have my other half and like be happy than trying to prove to other people that we've done something that's like soup's outdated and tradish.
That's true. That's a good idea.
All right, moving on. The answer is yes. We will keep our relationship open after we get married because it's clearly yes.
Yeah.
Abby Joanne asked, "What rules do you follow? Do you need to adjust as you go?"
Oof. I mean,
I'd say
she makes
different.
the rules. I'm along for the ride here.
I'm the captain.
Yeah.
I would say it's literally different every person.
Yeah.
Every scenario, but I feel like that we have some pretty basic rules of I have to say yes to the person that you're trying to bone, and I would say what the pass rate is 9.9 out of 10 times I'm saying yes.
Yeah.
Other rules. I prefer knowing details.
Yeah.
Partly because that turns me on because I'm attracted to women.
Yeah.
Some people I know don't want to know, and they don't want, ignorance is bliss for them, and that makes them happy. Sorry, coffee. For me, I'm like, I feel more in control of the situation if I know exactly everything that happened.
Right.
And I think for a while wasn't one of my rules that it had to be videotaped.
Yep.
Like, not in a creepy way, like a hidden camera, but like the girl had to be okay with, or like into you.
It was really hard
filming it and sending it to me because I would like you put it in the spank bag.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely changed the dynamic of what it was, of like
how you would approach a girl hooking up.
Like, oh, by the way,
my girlfriend likes to watch, so I need you to be okay with filming it.
It's like a
and there was only one chick that said no.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to say who it was.
That's fine.
But Washington.
I forgot.
I don't want to say.
No,
Here,
okay,
I'll write it.
Okay.
I'll write it.
Okay. We can just talk about it after the podcast if you want.
This girl. Your friend who was in
Oh, yeah.
There was a reason why she couldn't be on camera. And it's not because she's famous. It's because of something else. And she was like, no. Because I feel like if a girl, I don't know, you haven't ever approached someone and been like, by the way, my girlfriend likes to watch, and then be like, that's fucking weird. Like, you're fucking someone with a girlfriend. That's already weird enough. Like, I feel like the camera part is just on top of the situation.
Yeah.
But that's not really my rule anymore. I don't really care. I think for a while, it's just like, I needed to see how it was going down.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and again, for me, it's like, it's still weird. Like, most people are like, dude, that's so fucking awesome, bro. Like, you get to fucking do that. I'm so jealous. Like, dude, I'd be doing that all the time. But it's like, I'm at a place where I'm like, I could, sure. Like, I just love you so much that I'd like to come back and like, like it's something on tour or something like that. It's just like a quick little like, yeah, whatever. You know, it's
You'd
not.
rather just jerk off and go to sleep.
Yeah, like a lot of times it's just like, this is way easier.
Yeah.
I don't have to put in the effort. Everybody's so fucking hammered all the time, and it's
Yeah.
just like, I don't want to get drunk. Like I'm not drinking anymore with you, so it's
yeah.
like I'm.
It's just not appealing.
Yeah,
Like it's much more enticing and sexy to me to go to like a sex party together or like
Yeah,
Burning
if we
Man
can
or
do
G10
something, yeah.
or like something that just feels more adult
Yeah.
than like one night stands, which feel weird. Like I feel like we're moving more into a territory of us dating people
Yeah.
rather than you kind of having these one-off moments.
Right.
Yeah. Any other rules? For a while, did I have any rules for you? Like, you have any rules for me?
I mean, so that's the thing. So for me, this is me. Like, I'm such an imperfect person. I'm somebody who got raised in a certain way. I got like so much shame when it comes to sex and secretive, and I was always hiding anything that I would do because like it was just not. It was frowned upon, shame, you know, blah blah blah, and but with women, I'm completely fine with that. You know, like that's something that is very normal and very like, super sexy, heteronormative, and like, if you ran away from me with a girl, it would just be a surprise. I'd be like, wow, like I didn't know,
didn't see that
one coming, you know, and but because I think that the male and female roles traditionally, like some other male could fill my role that is there. Like I think,
And if you saw me run away with a dude, it would be because you were inadequate as a guy.
yeah, exactly.
And
It's something about inadequacy and
like you were way more threatened by dudes than chicks.
Well, yeah, I mean, when I first found out about like Ian or like Steven Cantor.
My roommate is a guy, and then my best friend is a guy.
Yeah,
and
like,
then you stole my best friend from me, and now he's one of your best friends.
I love
so
Steven.
you found out that like my two dude friends
Yep.
and people I lived with, you were kind of like worried
Yeah.
at first.
Yeah.
Which made me go like, why does he see? And at first it was like, does he see women as less than and non-threatening? And like, it was like, no, it's just, you have to understand where what you've been raised in your brain for, 28 years when we first met.
Right.
You've been told like, man is threat.
Yeah. It's very like, it's just my monkey body, you know, like it's my head could be so smart or so this or that, but like my urges are still there and my like fears are still there. And like
it's a lot of unlearning.
Then like after like meeting Ian and Steve, it's like, oh well duh, like these guys are fucking awesome. Like great people. There's no threat at all. Like it doesn't
And I would have fucked them already by that. You know what I mean? Like we've been friends with him for years. So I definitely would have already fucked him if it was gonna happen. It would have happened.
Yeah. And but that's just like, I think that's almost every guy's struggle.
Innate, like first monkey brain, like you said.
Yeah.
You have to kind of check that within yourself.
Yeah.
Charlene Caron asked, how do you maintain healthy boundaries to avoid jealousy? Do you ever get jealous? I feel like I've never seen you be jealous.
Well,
I wish you would get a little jealous.
I don't show jealousy because I don't show many things at all. Like that's my upbringing is like,
You're
I keep
Libra.
everything
He's a double Libra.
inside.
Oh my God.
Does that mean that? Is that a thing?
You're very like logic. You don't act based on emotion.
Yeah. I mean, because I was thinking more about my upbringing and thinking about like, I haven't really had the opportunity to tell people things. Like I wasn't listened to as a kid and X, Y, and Z. So my initial instinct is whatever I feel,
keep it down.
Shove it
Very
way
Irish of
down
you.
there. Yeah. But it doesn't come out in anger or this or that. It
so
comes out in.
Do you get jealous and I just don't know you're getting jealous?
I mean, yeah, sometimes.
Wait, but that goes against like everything we talk about our communication
but
style.
The thing is, it's not super jealousy. It's not anything like that. It's just like there's like that little hint of it, and then my mind could be like, oh no, like why would you be jealous? And it's like, okay, cool. Like,
but sometimes I want that little bit of jealousy to make it feel like it's sexy. I'm doing something naughty.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I feel so fucking wanted by other dudes, and I don't know if it's just because I don't get hit on anymore or because we're always together, so I don't really like have the chance to be hit on anymore. But sometimes I'm like, I just wish someone would come up to me and be like, wow, I want to take you right here, right now. And then I'd be like, sorry, that's my boyfriend over there. And him be like, wow, he's a lucky guy. And then me go over there and be like, wow, this just happened. And you'd be like, oh, mine. But instead you'd be like, oh, that's really nice of him. Like, you're so good at this shit that I'm like.
Sorry for being a loving boyfriend.
No, I'm just kidding. Let's see. This one we kind of already answered. SC1408 asked, do you and Jared tell each other whenever you hook up with someone else? What do you say? Again, for me, it's like, I want total every detail possible. What they were wearing, what they looked like, what time they left, what time they came, like how long it lasted. I want every detail. Yeah. And then for you,
I mean, it's with girls, I truly don't care. Like, I want you to have the best time possible. And I know, like, with what you expect from me, it's almost too stressful because it's like, okay, I have to take care of this. I have to do this. I have to do that. It's not like it's like I'm enjoying this. It's more like, how do I make it so that
you don't get in trouble,
won't be really mad at me for a couple days, or that like just yell at me, or not yell.
Oh my
me,
God, I don't like yell at
me, but like that. It's like it's become a thing of like, I'd rather just not, you know.
But I feel like that was in the beginning,
right?
You know what I mean? Like, we've had instances now where.
When was it? Oh,
how do I
really
say her
name?
name?
Yeah. I know who you're talking about. I know who you're talking about. But that was like, I think that there's only one time though, and like after that, I just haven't like.
Have you not?
I haven't. No.
The twins.
Yeah, but we filmed that.
Oh, okay. We're not giving details on that. Okay. How Jayla.Farrell asked, do you guys ever have threesomes? How does that work? Yes. Is the answer. How does it work? I like women and he likes women, so it's really like double the fun.
Well, but also it's you are the ringleader on that. Mm-hmm. So
I'm the captain now.
I can't look at me. I am the captain now.
There's definitely been situations where I've met the girl and been like, no, absolutely not. And we've also like gone out on date. Like, I've gone out to meet up with someone, and then like if I like them and we're vibing, then I'll be like, oh, by the way, like, can my boyfriend? I mean, this isn't a surprise. I'm not like dropping the hint, like, can my boyfriend swing by? By the way, I have a boyfriend. Like, this is something I'm very upfront about. And usually, if a girl has just said yes to coming out on a date, she's down. You know what I mean? Or like just curious, and I'll sit and like answer questions, like.
Yeah.
But I know if they've agreed to go out on the date with me, then I feel like I'm able to get that information out of them. Like, if they're just interested in me or interested in both of us pretty quickly. Yeah. And then if they're interested in both of us, I'll be like, oh, do you mind if he swings by for a drink or something? Yeah. But you don't give a shit when I go out with.
No. I mean, it's like I still have those feelings that are in there, and I'm also just not good at processing feelings yet. I mean, that's just who I am. Like, I'm going and making strides, going to therapy, doing all these things, but like, I'm just very much a head case in that, like, I'm like, okay, logically, blah, 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 this and that. I shouldn't be feeling this. But it's like, I feel it. It's like, well, that's just that reaction. It's going to pass. Okay, cool. Like, blah, blah, blah. Instead of getting taken by that and then making it worse and worse and worse, right? Because, that was gross. The more you, I guess, more fuel you put on the fire, the bigger it's going to get. So I've learned that when there is a little bit of a fire, to just feel it and then just kind of let it pass instead of getting more and more angry, doing something that will try and, blow it up more.
I want to talk about, you just went on this 10-day retreat, and I was in Europe for like 7 of the days. Yeah. And I did a podcast. I posted it called I'm Trying to Get Laid in Europe. And, this was after you had gone into silence, and so you don't have a phone, you don't have anything, and we had talked about our boundaries before leaving, and I feel like it was the first time that you were left with the unknown. That we weren't communicating, and like your brain could have just gone off the deep end and imagined like the worst case scenario. But talk a little bit about how that experience was for you.
Yeah, that was big because it was like, there's very extreme emotions there. Number one was like, I'm so fucking proud of you for doing this.
Aww.
It was so
That was a huge
incredible. It was so brave. And like every time I heard from you, like, oh my God, like, you know, I got off the plane and like, I only like took a so-and-so once or something. And then it's like, oh, I didn't even need to. And like, I just went and climbed this and I did that. It's like, that brings me so much joy because I know you're evolving as a person and that you're not scared and the fear is like going away.
Yeah.
And then there's like, we also like, coming into a relationship like this, I never knew, I'm trying to figure out how to say this. Like, I want you to have the best possible relationship that I could offer you. And so, but with guys, to me, like, I've never had a girlfriend of mine sleep with another guy. And that, even just saying that makes me feel weird, right? So it's like, I had to do a lot of work on myself to say like, okay, if she's in Europe and she does get laid, how am I going to feel about that by another guy? And it's like, I want that. I want her to be able to do that. I want her to have that freedom that I'm afforded, that she's giving me. Yet it's still like really like, it makes me like, ooh, you know? So, but but I was able to really handle that really well. And like,
How?
Just kind of letting the thoughts pass. I think that's a big thing, especially with the meditation retreat. They call it equanimity. That's the whole thing that they say. But it's avoiding the engaging with the thoughts that you have. You have to know that those thoughts bubble up and to know that they will just go away instead of being like, oh, like, it's, yeah. I mean, you don't want to, if you're getting a bunch of, no, that's a stupid metaphor. I'm not even going to do it. But
you got close.
You got close. Yeah. Like, it's actually, this is okay. Like, if there's a bee and there's a beehive, if you're in the beehive, right, you stay still. Most of the time, you might have a sting or two, right? But like, you won't be that bad. If you start swatting at the beehive or you start actually hitting the wasp nest, you're fucked. Like, you're gonna get destroyed.
Bees and wasps, they hang out together.
Yeah. It's like, I guess they're just homies. But
I think like too that I definitely had that fear that you talk about, like that feeling in the very beginning. I was like, right before the very first time you slept with someone without me, you know, we had only up to that point done stuff together. And I feel like the very first time I was a wreck just because we had built such a solid foundation. Like very early on in our relationship, we were like, oh, fuck, we found our person. Like, this is it. And I felt like I had to go against what my brain has learned to feel in those moments. And like my stomach was dropping. I was like, oh my God, am I going to regret this? Did I just fuck everything up? Did I just fuck up this perfect relationship? Like I had to take responsibility for how my reaction was going to be, knowing that at my core, this was something I wanted. That like for the rest of my life, the idea of just sleeping with one person, whoever it may be, it could be fucking Ryan Gosling, would still not be for me. You know what I mean? Like, it's just something that as I've grown up, I realized that it's always been in me. And I've always tried to just have a very monogamous one person with one person relationship. And it would create all these crazy problems of I've put such hard limits on myself. And if I text another person or like if I, you know, get too friendly with someone, it would create this like fucking huge deal. And I was always like, this isn't healthy. Like I learned how unhealthy it was. And it, like I said, it only worked because it's you. If I tried to open my relationship up with other people, that would have never worked. And I feel like I had to go through that fear first. And who knows? Like I could have been like, nope, hell no, this is no, I don't want to. Like, but then I hate to say it, like, I don't know if we would have worked. Like if I couldn't have handled that, I don't know how long this would have lasted, because deep, deep within me, I would have always known that I wanted something more.
I mean, that's really it. Like throughout my whole career, if you will, of having sex, like and just my upbringing, it never, like, I knew I wanted to, I always told myself, like, I'm not going to get married until I'm 35. Like,
Yeah.
it seemed like too big of a commitment. It seemed too hard to manage. It seemed, especially like traveling and this and that. And plus I was getting drunk back then. And like, when you get drunk, like, things just slip. Like your whole inhibitions go completely down. I mean, like, anytime I've really fucked something up, it's because I did something drunk.
Yeah.
And the drunker I was, the more I fucked it up.
Yeah.
So it's like, now that I'm sober, it's so good. Like,
It's so nice.
I really like, life is just better,
It's
you know,
like
and
clear, more present.
yeah,
Like it's
I have
just
so
like,
many
oh.
better ideas, this and that. But yeah, I mean, I looked back on every time that I caused pain to other people, and more often than not, almost, I literally can't even think of a time where sober, I
Ruined a relationship.
ruined a relationship. Yeah, it was always being drunk, and
Yeah.
I guess that yeah, I mean, I don't know. Was that like a tangent or
No, it was good.
Okay.
Blah blah blah. Shelby Richard, I don't know, Richard asked anything off limits that you two agree to never do with someone else.
Oh.
Is there anything you would be like, absolutely not?
And that's, yeah, man, that's still where I'm, because we haven't had another guy in the relationship yet. And this is something that, like, I want to do because it's fair. I want to do it.
But
and make
that's
sure,
not a good, that shouldn't be your number one reason.
But it's really, really
You know what
hard
I mean? Like,
to,
you shouldn't want that because I want it.
Well, I mean, I think that's reasonable. Like, I love you so much. I want you to have the best relationship possible. I mean, I do a lot of things because I am making an effort to be empathetic, and like, when you're happy, it makes me happy because we're almost
Interesting.
one and the same. Like,
Yeah.
if I was like selfish enough to say like, I don't want that, that's just not going to be good overall, because there's going to be resentment, or there's
But
going
I
to be,
also don't want it if you truly don't want it. And I guess I'm like pushing you to figure out that it's really not that big of a deal.
and I know it isn't. I know it
like,
isn't.
that's
Like,
the other thing about an open
cognitively,
relationship.
I know it.
You realized how big of a deal sex really isn't.
Yeah.
Like, it's so, don't get me wrong. Me and you, we have special sex.
Yeah.
Like, we have
Yeah.
like
Shit's
fireworky,
magic.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
But to just have like a fun romp in the sheets for one night, like, that just feels like animal instinct to me. And I feel like, I guess I am pushing you a little bit towards the idea of like how making you a little uncomfortable so that you see how comfortable you can be with that uncomfortability.
And again, it's seek discomfort. That's a great mantra. And I am on board. I am on board. And
We're getting there.
It's scary, man, because like, you talk to any straight dudes.
Yeah.
I haven't met any, like, because that's technically, I mean, it's technically a cuck. Like, it's.
No, I want to talk about this. A cuck is when you get turned on by being humiliated.
Got it.
I do not enjoy being humiliated.
Right.
I enjoy having power, saying, I'm so powerful in my relationship, I'm allowing you to borrow my boyfriend for the night. That gives me power.
Yeah.
A cuck is if you were to get turned on by me sleeping with another guy.
Okay, that makes
which
sense.
you are the opposite of.
Yeah.
So if anything, you're kind of in the same boat as me, where it would give you control of like, I'm in control. I'm the captain now by allowing this to happen.
Yeah.
It's weirdly empowering. Again, it made me feel very secure that the very first time you did this, you came back to me and we were laying in bed and you were like, I love you. You're my soulmate. You're my partner. And again, I think you learned my love language very quickly, which is words of affirmation.
Yeah.
Like, we literally took the 5 love language test, like, when we very first met. And I think you took that in stride, and our communication styles just matched. You were like, this person needs to hear constantly that I am here for her, that I am not leaving, that that she is the most beautiful person to me, that I love her more than anyone. And you tell me that every day.
You are.
Every day you tell me. And I don't think that if I started to feel that shift, I would be I would be like, nope, close the doors. We're not open anymore. Like
Yeah.
if I ever felt insecure in our relationship, I would be like, we shouldn't fucking bring anyone else in because that would make
Right.
this rocky.
Right.
It's never going to save your relationship. And I feel like we don't even need to address that because you guys aren't stupid enough to believe that if your boyfriend wants to bring in a girl and you're not happy with it, that you should do it because it'll save your relationship. That is not healthy. And I hope my confidants know that that's never going to work. It's like having a baby to try and save a marriage.
Yeah, that's
never works.
Never a good play.
La 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 la. Ooh, this is a good one. Hey, it's Bales asked, is your open relationship emotional as well, or is it just extending yourselves sexually?
Oh.
I think in the beginning it was a hard physical thing.
Yeah.
But now that we're like dating together, I think the ideal situation would be someone that we both feel really connected to.
Yeah.
And I think the idea of like, I mentioned this in the other podcast, is if I'm just trying to conquer someone, then I'm not even seeing someone as someone, as a person. Like I'm not even trying to connect with someone.
Yeah.
And like, how fun is it to try and just like meet someone cool that you vibe with and like have sex with them and then, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's really hard to expect that one person is going to be the guy, well, not the guy, but like the person who can fill every single void in your life, right? Like that everyone is such a unique, different person.
And growing all the time.
Your
needs change.
Yeah. It's, I mean, you look at like free love, like that, like that's the extreme. And it's great because it's like everyone just loves everybody. Everybody gets to know everybody. And the traditional marriage thing is like, just pick one, make it work, and
suck it up.
Have a kid. That's what you're supposed to do. There you go, right? So it's just been ingrained in us and for the longest time. So,
and like, I like the idea of Jared finding someone that can take him to the brain places that I can't. Like, we definitely know the things that I, have a hard time having extensive, deep conversation about. Like, it's just not my interest. Like, I'm a cinephile. I'm like a Leo. Like, I can only talk about artificial intelligence for so many minutes before I'm like, I'm out. Like, I can't fucking understand. I can't keep up with your Libra brain.
Yeah.
And nothing would make me happier than if we were dating someone who you could call, even if it was a dude, and be like, bro, I just thought of this crazy fucking hollow chain fucking Bitcoin thing and internet deep web. And I'd be like, oh my God, thank God I can go get my nails done. Like, you know what I mean? That would make me really happy finding someone that would fill a void that I very well know that I'm not the best person for. I know these things, and God, I talk so much. I'm sure you'd be grateful to have a minute of, a couple hours of silence.
Yeah.
For me to be, vibing with someone else.
Yeah, I'm very much like, I've been making massive strides cognitively to know, like in my head, like this is something that would 100% work and get someone else on board that fills the other needs and this and that. But then I always think about like, oh, like, even if it's a guy, right? Like, oh, Kelsey's on a date with this guy and can't hang out because she's with this guy and she's going to fuck him. And it's just like my asshole tightens when I say that, and like my stomach drops, and it's like, oh, like, but then like cognitively, I know like that should be okay because like we are we're the rock to which we bring on whatever we want, right?
Yeah, like I said, at the end of the day, we know that like, I hate to say like we're each other's number one, because then it's like I don't want someone to ever feel like a number two.
Yeah.
But like we have something that will not ever be.
It's a unit, yeah.
That's something else that I could have with someone else.
Right.
Like this is so powerful and unique and strong that like there's no way.
Yeah.
It would just be different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Blah, 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 blah. We're rounding out the episode here. Nota asked, where do you get the energy to spend on more than one person? The answer is we don't most of the time. It's usually like if we're already out and I find someone attractive and you are finding that same person attractive, and it's like a fun little like cat and mouse game where it's like, ooh, can we do this thing? very rarely are we laying in bed watching a Netflix show like, we should try and go fuck tonight. Like, very rarely.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll go on Bumble together and like look at chicks just because we also have such different tastes.
Yeah, definitely true.
Like, it blows my mind sometimes the people you swipe right on.
Kelsey just wants to fuck herself, really. That's like, and she usually finds a way to do that. Like, she loves it. And it's just like, I can pick a type. But she also, as far as guys go, has the exact same type, too, which is just literally me. Just variations
tall, dark, and handsome.
of me with beards. And
with a beard.
It's like vaguely Jewish looking. That's it. That's
a
it.
little bit nerdy.
Little
like,
nerdy.
Oh my God, you're turning me on. Yeah, I don't know.
But that's also, I think, why I get a little bit nervous when I think about it. It's like, that's not just like a small blonde-haired dude that's like super ripped or something, or somebody completely different. It's like, you just hotspot me out, and like, but it's like, what if this guy's better? What if this guy understands her more? Like,
no.
What if she? Oh man.
But
I don't know.
that's not possible.
Yeah, and that's like
that would be like
that's the
years.
gut talking, and then my head's like.
I am a little worried that this podcast is gonna come off with like me sounding like I'm making you do something you don't want to do.
No, I mean I'm making strides every day. You know, it's like I'm working on myself a lot, and sexuality for me for the longest time has been such a taboo. I mean, growing up in this super Protestant religious upbringing, like there has always been massive shame and guilt involved in this. And again, I'm sure so many people have had the exact same experience, but like being secretive about sex, being secretive about relationships, and like, ooh, like it's because you're so scared of like what could happen, or you know,
versus what's true.
Yeah.
I
don't know. It's yeah. I'm working on it though. Every step.
Let's do one more question. Malback asks, great username by the way. How did you get Malback?
Malback.
Like the wine.
Oh, nice. Genius.
Do your friends and family know that it's open, and is that awkward? So my family knows because I'm me and my life is on the internet. And I also feel like if there's going to be a Thanksgiving where I'm bringing a third person home, that it's much easier to just put that on the table now.
Yep.
So it's not like a fork dropping moment when we walk in with like someone else. But again, I have that privilege. I have that relationship with my family. You know, my sister always thinks that it's, you know, my sister's someone who's very open and fluid too. And she still thinks, like, she said something to me when I was in Europe, like, oh, you're so lucky Jared is letting you go through this phase of wanting to be someone else. And I was like, bitch, like I had to have a moment with her where I was like, did you think this was a phase? Like, and she didn't mean it in a way of like, oh, you know, your sexuality is a phase or whatever. Like, she knows I'm bi because she, you know, gets it. But I think she is not someone who has ever been in an open relationship, and she just can't fathom how it could be a lifelong lifestyle. And so, that's, and all my friends know. And it's something that it's very easy to open in conversation. Like, you know, I'll be like, oh, my partner, and, you know, does this, and like maybe I'll say a comment about someone who's very attractive, or like, you know, it always just comes up really naturally. It's not something I'm trying to like shove down people's throats, but I do feel like it is part of our identity as a couple, and I want people to know. And I don't mean that in like, look at us, we're so liberal, but like, I feel like the more we normalize it, the less weird it's going to be, and the less conversations we're going to have explaining ourselves over and over again. Like, there was nothing more like than when we went to the gyno like 2 days ago, and it was a new gynecologist, and she was asking all the questions of like, you know, what is blah, 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 blah. And she was like, so this is your boyfriend? How long have you guys been together? Are you guys in an open relationship? And I was like, dang. I've never been asked that at a gynecologist's office. And I said, we are. And I was just so like, it just felt so good to have like a medical professional have that in their dialogue and language. And I was like, oh, it gave me such a nice feeling that I was like, oh, I wish all of our friends and family knew, but
Yeah.
you know, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I don't really have too much communication openly with a lot of my family. It could, a lot of it is about me and my own like insecurities on what I can say to people, and just because of like my upbringing and whatnot, and also where they are as people and kind of old fashioned and whatnot. But
I'm sure though, if we found someone that we wanted
Yeah.
to bring home for Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
they would have questions, but no one would.
No,
like,
absolutely
no one
not.
would shun
Absolutely
us or
not.
like not let us
yeah,
come.
I think it would be something that they would be very surprised about, and yet it would just kind of
Yeah.
pass. It'd
Well,
be
they can always listen to this episode. That's always my
Yeah.
biggest fear when I date someone is like, oh fuck, it's only a matter of time before their aunt, who like barely knows how to use the internet, fucking
Yep.
Googles me, and
yeah,
the first thing that pops up is yeast infection or something. Like,
yeah.
well, I love you.
I love you.
You're the love of my life,
You're my face.
and you're my favorite person.
Love your life. love you and forever. What?
I hope I haven't scarred you too much, love.
No, it's okay. This is I'm working on it. This is like my self improvement category is this whole sex thing. So
Good.
yeah.
Before we go, I do want to read just an email that I got from someone named Sydney Stevens. She wrote into me and was asking if I could mention on the podcast, which I'm happy to do, that September is Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month. And I think it's amazing just to spread that knowledge and awareness. And if you guys, could talk about it on social media or, Google the hashtag to figure out a little bit more about the cause. Sydney herself is a cancer survivor. She was diagnosed with stage 4 Wilms tumor at age 9, and it has become a huge cause that she's supportive of. And pediatric childhood cancer, which is defined as being diagnosed before age 20, which I didn't know.
Wow.
Pediatric all the way into your 20, is the second leading cause of death for people in this age range. Yet only 4% of funding from the National Cancer Institute yearly goes to that cause. Breast cancer and other adult cancers are often talked about and have new drugs developed yearly, where this is often overlooked, even though it's proven through research that there are lasting health side effects after treatment and kids diagnosed daily. So just try and educate yourselves a little bit about September being Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month. And thank you so much, Sydney Stevens, for writing in. And Jared, thanks for joining. Caps Up with DJ, BFF, love of my life, light of my heart. Thanks for being so open, and thanks for dating me.
You're welcome. Thanks for being my girlfriend and my partner for life.
Ditto. You can follow us on the internet at Confidently Pod. You can write into us and give me something you want to talk about at confidentlyinsecurepodcast at gmail.com. Capslap, where can people find you?
At Capslap, KAPSLAP. That's all it is.
Your DJ name.
Yep, I make music and stuff.
You can DM him if you've got questions about open relations,
Yep.
especially from the male perspective.
Also, if you want to listen to mixes at all, just search Cap Slap Mixes in any podcast thing, and all my stuff's there. So.
Your mixes are my favorite. I don't know. I love your original songs, but I vibe to your mixes, dog.
Thanks.
You're pretty good at your job.
I appreciate that.
I hope you guys had a great Labor Day weekend, and we will see you next week. Woo. Bye, Confidants.
Bye, Confidants. Oh, I love that. Confidants.